All right. It's here. The remake we didn't know we needed. The original 1989 Roadhouse. I don't know that it was actually a hit when it came out, but it's one of those sort of staples that, like, if you're ever flipping through channels and you see Roadhouse, you just
Yeah,
it's
it found life beyond the theatrical.
yeah. And in fact, I don't
cable.
think it was. I don't even think it was a big theatrical release. It was bigger later when it came out on VHS and later to cable, because it's just such a simple premise. The new Roadhouse, the Roadhouse reboot, wasn't something people were asking for, but here it is. And it's kind of different. The new Roadhouse, which is on Prime, not in theaters, by the way, stars Jake Gyllenhaal. He is a former UFC fighter who is feared by all. He's recruited by a young woman who has a bar called Roadhouse in the Florida Keys, and she's willing to pay him a huge sum of money, about $5,000 a week, to come and fix things because there are unsavory elements that have infiltrated this bar. Jake Gyllenhaal takes her up on the offer, heads to the Florida Keys, where he's met with a group of guys that are looking for trouble, and they're starting trouble for a reason, because someone wants that Roadhouse. Some rich a-hole wants that Roadhouse so they can do a development in the Florida Keys. The only thing stopping him is this little dive bar. So unsavory characters infiltrate the bar, and Jake Gyllenhaal as this character, I mean, he is jacked Gyllenhaal at this point. Ripped. He's ripped. He keeps having these memories and flashbacks to his UFC fight where something snaps in him and he crosses a line and has regrets. So his way of dealing with a lot of these characters that come looking for trouble at this bar is that he asks, it's really great scene within the first like 30 minutes of the film. He asks them if they have health insurance. He basically beats the crap out of like 4 or 5 dudes and then drives them to the hospital as a favor because he's a nice guy. He ultimately knows he can hurt them. He knows he can take them all out. Things escalate. He ends up in a relationship with a young woman who he's met. He becomes famous in the town because he doesn't take it. He ends up schooling and mentoring one of the young bouncers at the bar so he doesn't have to do all the work all the time. And I'll say this, I was entertained. The fighting scenes are really good. They're creative. Where the movie goes off the rails is in the third act, because the stakes rise. It becomes so ridiculous. It becomes an action movie. And there are things that the character does where you're like, wait, what? So I'll say this. I was sold for the first hour of this movie. I was digging it. And then in the third act, it gets a little, it escalates to an extreme where it becomes unbelievable, where you're like, what? No. And then there are all these digital effects that are, I have to say, it was very creative. The other thing that kind of threw the film off is in the middle of the movie, Conor McGregor shows up. And Conor McGregor is, let me just, I'll go back to sharing screen here because I want to show you this, all the characters, right? So Jake Gyllenhaal is this character, Dalton. But then you have Conor McGregor enters, and he's a guy who's going to fix things. He is Knox. And he has sort of one acting style. Because Conor McGregor, UFC fighter, he's not an actor, but he's smiling. He has this grin the entire movie and doesn't ever change from that. And he's a badass that doesn't care about anything. So his turn as it is sort of one note, and we get it, and it's just over. The thing is this, third act of the film becomes so over the top as to be ridiculous. I can't say it wasn't satisfying to see people who deserve it get their just desserts. That was satisfying. I can't say I didn't have fun, but did we really need this? I don't know. The other thing about this film,
Hello.
yeah, that's the love interest is Ellie, played by Daniela Melchior.
And
And
this is how she was dressed throughout the whole film.
yeah, and Post Malone, Austin Post Malone, whatever, plays a character named Carter. He's more there for comic relief, which was kind of fun. Actually, that worked for me. Jessica Williams, wasn't she on? She was on The Daily Show. Plays Frankie. She's the owner of the bar. Billy Magnuson,
Rich
he's
asshole.
the rich a-hole. Yeah, you can just tell by the way he dresses.
Yeah.
With that, it's not pink, it's salmon. That's what every guy that wears pink always says. It's not pink, it's salmon. No, it's pink. Billy, played by Lucas Gage, is also he's the bouncer that is mentored another bouncer, Sam. Just all around like good cast. I'll say the thing that like it just gets so over the top near the end that you just like it's sort of separates from reality. It becomes.
Let me ask you this: when you say over the top, the one thing that really turned me off from the trailer is that the movie felt overly CG for a fist fight movie.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
is that
right.
the over top you're referring to,
Yes.
or
yeah?
Okay.
It's just the first half of the film is grounded in a reality. When Conor McGregor comes in, it gets ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got like the pressure is put on the Roadhouse to fix things. But I'll say this, it's over the top in maybe some of the best ways where I wish I'd seen this at a theater.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the stuff that happens in terms of the fights are so over the top with an audience. It would have been great. Huge mistake to not release this in the theater. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. Definitely like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I recommend it if you've got Amazon Prime. Most people do. They don't even know because they're just, hey, I want free shipping. Oh, a streaming service? Well, that makes sense. But I actually really, at the end of the day, enjoyed it. One, Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. Two, oh my God. I should not have given a thumbs up because that Apple now does this thing where it pops it. I hate that. How do I turn that off? Don't do it.
Doesn't work for me. I'm not on Apple.
It works for me, right? Look, see there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I hate it. Anyways, Jake Gyllenhaal's performance really worked. Grounded in reality, at least for the first half of the film, worked.
Yeah.
The fact that the movie changes to sort of like beyond reality, and you're seeing characters do things you did not expect that they would do. It's revealed why he has this sort of calm demeanor as he takes people out. There's a reason the character acts the way he does. I do like it. There's this thread at the beginning. He makes friends with this young girl who works at a bookstore with her father. And the young girl basically likens his story to a sheriff in a Western coming, to a strange town where he must drive out the bad element. That's effectively the story. And it is like that. It's a modern Western. And I'll say, look, kudos to Doug Liman for going for it. He really swung for the fences with this thing. But why was this not opened in theaters at least for a couple weeks? The experience of I'm watching this late at night. I've seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This just came out. I come home. I'm up till 1 a.m. watching this. And I thought I would have fallen asleep while I was watching it. I did not. It had my attention the whole time. And I had a good time. I had a really good time. So I recommend it. It's also, there's nothing the kinds of things we see in modern movies that turn us off. This movie has none of that. I mean, it is, and as just a UFC fan, and I liked Conor McGregor, that one fight where he broke his leg, or his foot, that was crazy. That was crazy. So you will find me at the 35er in Pasadena. Now they're playing UFC fights. They play them in the basement, and it used to have to pay 10 or 20 bucks for a wristband. Now you can just go there and they play that play the fights in the basement for free, which I love.
Well, I'll say this to your comment. It premiered at South by Southwest in a theater, and I believe the audience was similar to Monkey Man. It was pretty split, male female, and the women loved
They
seeing guys
loved
with their shirts off.
it because women love strong men.
Mhm.
Get it through your head. Hey, people, if you work in Hollywood, why don't you just have strong men in your movie? Because women like it, men like it. Men want to be strong, like the men that they see on screen, and women probably want to do stuff to those men. And that's what, yeah,
What?
there you go. I'm not, yeah, so there you are.
Yeah, and from my understanding, it was always meant for streaming. It was never meant to have a theatrical, which is a weird decision to make, especially knowing that beforehand. You have to think they could at least made some money putting it out in limited release and seeing if it could gain some steam, and then put it on your streaming channel.
Well, this is theaters need releases.
Mhm.
If this movie came out during the summer, would have been a huge hit. Timing is bad. They're throwing it up on Amazon Prime in March.
Mhm.
Big mistake. Big mistake. But the point is it's Doug Liman made a deal. His deal was you can make the movie for less. I think it was like 60 million. Make the movie for 60 million and we'll release it to theater.
Yeah.
If you make the movie for 80 million, we're just going to put it direct to Prime.
Okay.
And he chose the higher budget so you could make a better movie. But he was stuck with that deal. So him complaining about that deal is actually not fair. It's not fair because that was the deal he made. But huge mistake. By the way, I forgot to point out Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. You know how much the budget was? 100 million.
No.
Yeah, look it up.
How does that happen?
I don't know. It just
so
happens.
So this movie could actually make money.
Yes. Yeah, it could. It could.
Yeah, because I believe Ghostbusters 2016 was 250 million.
Okay, let's go to your comments and questions. Here, I recommend Roadhouse.
Okay.
A lot of fun. Should have been in theaters. And it gets a little over top at the end in the third act, but I forgive it for that. And I kudos to Doug Liman. There are some action sequences here and the fight scenes. The one interesting thing about the fight scenes are like the camera is very close. And in some of the fight scenes, you become the person getting punched or giving punches. So it's like a video game feel to it. I recommend Roadhouse.